It's New Year's Eve. How we're all feeling. I don't know about you, Emma, but I think New Year's Eve brings a funny feeling to a lot of us. Some people are either buzzing about the year they've had. They're so excited. Everything, they've fallen in love. They've achieved what they wanted to achieve. And then other people, they just feel like the year's been a big fat failure. How are you when it comes to resolutions and things like that?
Ooh, resolutions are a no from me.
Right, you never do them.
No, because I feel like you set yourself up to do something and sometimes that thing never comes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between setting a resolution as like, I'm going to change, to setting maybe goals to hit.
Yes.
Because I think a resolution is a change of lifestyle or something that you're going to have forever.
Right.
That's a forever commitment. Where a goal or something is something that you hit and then you can get the next one. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. And I think that what happens is that sometimes people can write a resolution list and they get to the end of the year and they can just think, well, that year can just go and do one because none of it happened. I didn't do any of it. By March of that year, I'd pretty much given up and I feel terrible. But what I was thinking about was that I don't think any year can ever be a write-off. I don't think there's any years in our lives that we should ever write off or think, well, that's it, they're a failure. And, you know, one of the years that really springs to mind for me is the year that I lost my partner, and I lost him very early on in the year. And I thought to myself, I remember thinking, well, this year's going to be a massive bag of shit then, isn't it? And every year from then on will be a massive bag of shit because I'm just going to be miserable and sad all the time. And there were many parts of that year that were terrible. And, you know, I was in like a lot of despair. But you know what? There were parts of that year that were also, I'm going to even say like possibly joyful. And I think that that's what I learned about things not working out at all how you want them to work out. I've learned that, that can be a bitter disappointment and it can be really, really difficult. And grief itself, you know, can pour over you and you can just feel completely overwhelmed. But within that year, I can think of two moments right now. I did a film that year. I did a comedy film called Walk Like a Panther about wrestlers. And it was ridiculous and it was gorgeous and it was brilliant. And I loved everyone I worked with. And for the 6 weeks I was on that set, I had so much fun and I laughed loads. And yeah, I had to go back to my life afterwards and be sad again. And the reality of everything hit me all over again. But I do remember thinking, all right, like it is possible to feel joy even when you're feeling really bad. I know that can be a bit of a contradiction for people, but that was my experience. And then the other thing that comes to mind is that I built a relationship with my son that year, which, you know, I was already, you know, very, very close to him, but it really deepened like our connection. And he saw me in ways that I didn't think he'd ever see me, and I didn't want him to see me like that, but that's how life was and that's how it was. And I was talking to my middle sister Paula one night and she said to me, oh, do you ever watch like RuPaul's Drag Race? And I was like, no. And she was like, do you know what? She said, it's really fun. She said, I think you and Harvey might like it. She said, it's really uplifting, and the message of love and acceptance just rings through it. And I thought, oh, right, okay. So anyway, we started watching it. And so began like our love affair with RuPaul's Drag Race. And we would lie on the sofa and we'd watch every single season, every single episode. We'd have our favorite queens. And it was just like it became like a real thing for the two of us to share. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have had one of those years where you just go, bye-bye, 2024, you've been rubbish. If you can, just take a moment, get a pen and paper, and just write down 10 things from that year that weren't rubbish, that you might be grateful for. And that could be as little as, I had a really nice night out with my mate in March. It could be as little as that. It doesn't have to be profound, but just see if you can write 10 things about that year that you are actually grateful for, because it's so easy to write something off, to think something's been a failure. And then once you've written that, then if you are a resolution person or if you are a goals person, then go into your list for 2025. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to start that list with going, right, being really hard on ourselves. I just need to change the way I was because last year was terrible. You need to sort of go, yeah, but I've learned stuff. I've learned stuff from the things that have happened. I've learned stuff from the failures. I've come through it, and it gives you like a more positive feeling going into the next year. And I heard somebody say this, and I thought it was really good. It was a businessman, and I can't remember his name, but he said, write down 10 goals, 10 resolutions, whatever, however you want to put it, for next year. Look at the list, decide which one is the most important to you. Take that one off the list, put it on a new list, and write down 10 ways that you're going to achieve that goal. Because I think what happens is you have too many goals and resolutions. Yeah, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And then it gets to January the 14th and you're like, oh, I haven't done any of them. Doesn't matter. I'm bored now.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be like that. You can choose one thing and you can focus on it. And I'm a massive believer in when you focus on one part of your life and you feel really happy with that, I think it bleeds into other parts of your life. And without even knowing it, other parts of your life get better without you having to fix them, in inverted commas. What do you reckon?
You know what? It's as if that I just did my Dear Jill, it's Emma, and it's coming to New Year, and I'm feeling stressed. And you just answered everything that I would do, because I am a person that writes too many things down. Then I stress about how I'm actually going to achieve them. But if I just don't write enough, don't write as many, and focus on how to do that.
And just look at the one that you think, what would bring me the most happiness out of all of them? It's not to ignore the other ones. The other ones will happen. But then you will get to the end of that year and you will have achieved at least one of the things on your list because you will have focused on it. I'm going to give that a try as well.
So am I. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant.